aliens run things. I've had Christians saying, what, you think aliens made us? You're not a Christian. No. Watch the video. I said, that's what the globalists believe. And then I did a review of it to say we're being genetically engineered by the GMO, not by off-world aliens. I used the hype of the film to expose GMO. That's the real point. I mean, that's my mission. It's real simple. And, of course, 90+% are positive commenters on there. Okay, I'm already digressing. I said I go to calls. Martin in Colorado, welcome to the airwaves. Thank you.
Hey, how's it going, Alex? Thanks
Good, sir.
for having me on the show.
Thank you.
Hey, my dad's from the Czech Republic. In Europe, he's there pre-World War, or just after World War II and pre-Berlin Wall. His family was millionaires. They were reduced to nothing because their own government sold them out. You know, you hear a lot of news. You go through things personally, you know, just in your family's life. And
I mean, just to interrupt you, I don't want you to continue. We have some friends whose dad is from the, quote, Czech Republic, but before when the communists ran it. And he absolutely hates communists. He was an artist, and they wouldn't even let him do the ironworking art he wanted, which wasn't even political. It's total control over everything. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, it is. My dad's father was a lawyer. They had summer cottages, castles, apartment complexes. These days, even if you're a millionaire or multimillionaire, even possibly a billionaire, it doesn't matter to these people because, you know, I've been in business for a long time, and you meet some interesting people over a scope of work, but when you meet people that want it all, it'll never be enough. But the good news is you always have patriots that come up, and or you just change your life. My dad just ended up moving here. He was in the military there. He got intel that the Russians were going to invade, to take over their country. He got up the night before, said he's going to Paris with a friend of his, but basically it was very bad. It was never the same in that country. It's much more beautiful now that they rebuilt. But the funny thing is they had to go through so much and lose so much over other people's ideals. I just don't understand.
Well, again, the ultra-rich Rothschilds always fund communism because they want to destroy the middle class and new wealth that creates the wealth. See, a lot of poor folks don't understand this. A lot of rich people brings everybody up because rich people are going to hire you to do things and you're going to become wealthy. But when you shut down the rich people, it's over. But see, notice Warren Buffett, all of them, the ultra-rich Bill Gates, they all want higher taxes because they're exempt from taxes. They are in tax-free foundations. They're called philanthropists. That's all a propaganda hoax for them not paying taxes. They want your money. It's what it's all about, shutting down their competition and telling people everything they've got to do and how they've got to live. I mean, people don't understand. Under communism, they tell you everything, what you can say, what you can think, what you can do. And it's all run by gibbering, cross-eyed control freaks, like the professor that wants to put people in mental institutions that don't want to do her bidding. I mean, it's just, they're all a bunch of scum. Okay, let's move quick with open phones today. And then coming up, I'm going to give you the latest in science and technology, the Middle East, and politics. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, then we'll continue with your phone calls. Right now, let's go to Patrick in Pennsylvania. You're on the air, Patrick.
Hi, good afternoon, Alex. Thank you for taking my call. I know you don't like to hear it, but, you know, thank you for everything you do. You are a true patriot, and thank you just for everything. Initially, I wanted to make a statement about that Trayvon Brown case down in Florida, but just listening to you talk about this police brutality and corruption, you know, it happens everywhere, and these cops do whatever they want, and they get away with it. And they are, like you said, harassing old ladies, young kids, you name it. Where I live in a small town. About a year and a half ago, this cop in the middle of the night was driving. He had someone who was suspected of a DUI in the back seat. And he was driving up the road on the highway around 100 miles an hour because the guy refused a breath test, so he was going to take him to get a blood test at the hospital. The cop crashed into a truck and hurt the guy, the prisoner, the so-called prisoner in his back seat. The state police, the local police, everyone was saying, oh, this is a complete accident. The paper said this is horrible, but no one questioned why was he going 100 miles an hour? Why didn't he have his lights on? And then about a year later, after it cost the taxpayers thousands of dollars for him to get better and buy a brand new police car, he went back to work, and a newspaper just said, oh, we're so happy to have him back. But that type of mentality is just so pervasive. These cops do what they want, and people don't question.
Well, that's it. Look. But a fish rots from the head. You've got Obama caught in all these crimes, giving billions of dollars in energy contracts to people that never even build one machine because they're his donors. They give him $100,000, they get $500 million back, literally. There's Corzine. There's the shutting down the power plants so their competition can't compete. There's all of it. I mean, you just start listing all of the crimes and the corruption and the fact that they don't even get in trouble now. That lets you know that the critical mass is being reached where there's so many crooks in government that it's a free-for-all. It's a total and complete free-for-all. It's like the rock and roll song, Ted Nugent. I got me a rock and roll band. It's a free-for-all. I mean, they are going crazy. But it's not some free-for-all having fun playing, guitar. It's going crazy on people. And this psychosis, the tyrants always start believing that what they're doing is for the greater good and they're going to keep the public in line. But, I mean, take the New York police. Their union repeatedly in the last few years has put full-page ads in local papers, New York Post and other places, saying, look, we don't want to give old ladies tickets for sitting on a bench more than 5 minutes or a pregnant woman for sitting down. There's some benches where it's only like 5 minutes. We don't want to arrest people for putting cat litter in the trash can. We're told to do this, and that we're told to, basically double, this was a few years ago, our quota. Then they lie and say, oh, there's no quota. But it's now been on record in many police departments, copies of even memos ordering a quota. And so it's about revenue generation. My point is it's all being siphoned off to the globalist bankers who sit on top of over 1,000 trillion. More money than they could ever buy everything on the earth over 4 or 5 times. That's why they want to create a depression to make you sell. They want it all, even though they'll never even see it or know it. They've all tyrants seek after the get out of jail free card, the bulletproof card, the too big to fail card. I appreciate what you've said. Thank you so much. And that's what tyranny is. It's a too big to fail in government and corporate corruption because so many people are tied into it that none of them want it to go down, even though it's bringing us down. Do you see what I'm saying? It's almost like they're standing up on a deck of a ship and they're down below knocking holes in it and water's coming in. And we're saying the captain's crazy. He ordered holes be knocked in the bottom of the boat. But because the officer's got his crew, the captain has his other officers and crew, even as the ship's sinking, they're like, it doesn't matter. We're up here on the poop deck, and we're the bosses. And you're like, but you knocked holes in the boat. Doesn't matter, we're the bosses. But you're crazy. We're the bosses. It's like that famous newscast where the TSA person's going, I have power, I have power. You seen that video? Multiple times they go crazy and announce their God and strip down naked and start running through the airports. I'm not kidding. Type in TSA agent runs through airport naked declaring their God. It's actually happened twice. And you're like, well, how could two people, one, I think it was in Maryland, the other was in L.A., one I think was in Baltimore, the other was in L.A. I'm going from memory. This happened the last few years. And you're like, well, why would two separate ones do that? Because it's a certain typecast. It's a certain psychological profile that is gravitating towards wanting to wear a uniform, and wanting a TSA-style job. I mean, you think bad people sometimes gravitate towards law enforcement. I mean, you get Dudley Do-Rights that do it as well. And they just get compartmentalized. Yeah, you go deal with the kidnappings and bank robberies. We'll deal with the narcotics trafficking. Wink, wink. We'll live in the $2 million house, and you're so dumb you won't ask why we live in that on the salary. You know, wink, wink. That's how this works. And so I'm already digressing. Let's talk to Brad in Michigan. You're on the air, Brad. Go ahead.
Hi, Alex. It's a pleasure to talk to you. I wish I had a little more time to talk because I'd like to mention something about the invasive species findings in Michigan. I believe that's just setting the stage for eventually naming humans as an invasive species on this planet.
Well, no. All the big environmentalists have said our animals, our dogs, our cats, our horses, our cows are all invasive species, and they want them taxed and then banned. I mean, people are like, oh, well, that'll never happen. No, they run things. We'd never have socialist health care. We'd never have big government. We'd never have gun control. We'd never have open borders. 5 years ago, sheriffs would say that the feds were giving illegals get-out-of-jail-free cards. Now it's admitted. See, I mean, it's all happening. Sorry, go ahead.
What I'd really like to talk about, actually, is what I called about is to talk about the awakening in general. I feel that our greatest tool, our greatest weapon against the globalists is to wake other people up and to make them realize, because it's our numbers that will save us. And I spend a lot of time trying to wake people up. I've gone through a lot of frustration from it because I tend to sometimes get angry that people can't see what's right in front of them. One of the problems with that is through that I've learned good tips on how to wake people up, and I'd like to share some of them with your listeners. The first thing I find is if I get people talking about liberty as they define it and what's important to them, their eyes seem to open very quickly, and I can start to waken them to the things that are important and defending our liberty, and most importantly, to remain calm. I have days where I get fired up, as fired up as you do, and I know that that's the time I need to call somebody else that's already awake and talk to them, because once I start getting fired up talking to somebody, I can see them shut off. They shut off instantly. And one of the most important things is to follow up, because when people wake up, they seem to go through these stages where first they get angry and they need somebody to talk to, and I have to be there for them. I have to listen to them and let them get that frustration out. But the other thing is I've seen repeatedly where somebody wakes up and then they get on that ledge, and I have to talk them down because they see it as so hopeless to fight against these people. And if you let people go past that point, they shut off and never come back. And it's really important for people to think about these things when they're trying to wake somebody up, because if you really want to help, you have to not scare people away.
I'm listening to you.
That's it. I wish people would really spend time talking, and I would like you to spend some time talking to people about how it is a constructive way to awaken people. And usually their own knowledge goes off on its own.
Exactly. Let me say this to you. I spend a lot of time trying to figure out how I can do a better job, and I'm able to apply some of that. But generally, it's just a frontal assault trying to shock people who are in deep denial out of that, and I've been extremely successful. But I can hear that you have passion, you have confidence, and I also hear compassion in your voice. When people try to wake folks up from, I know this sounds kooky, but did you know, then that's a cue for them to laugh at you. But when you approach it from a loving, serious position, you can really get through to a lot of people. I can hear that in your voice. And I think what you are doing personally, I agree, on a one-to-one basis, it is better to have the smooth approach. Via a medium like radio, especially, which is a very hot media, I'm very effective at